Hello and welcome to the Fit to Transform podcast, where you learn how to train and diet effectively and, most importantly, how to maintain those results for life, once and for all. I'm Nikias Tomasiello, a transgender training and nutrition coach working online with anyone who's ready for a true lifestyle transformation, anywhere they may be in the world. As a friendly reminder, any and all information provided is for educational purposes only. You should consult with your doctor before implementing any changes to your diet and exercise program. With that disclaimer out of the way, thank you for being here. Now grab yourself a cup of tea or pre-workouts and enjoy. Yo, welcome back to the podcast, dear listeners. And since last week, Jeff and I talked about muscle building phases. In this solo episode, I want to talk to you about fat loss. And not just fat loss, but fat loss for smaller people. Why would I want to focus on that specifically? Number one, because I am egocentric and I am short. In case you don't know, I'm 5 foot tall. 5 foot, that's it. There's no inch after that. And not only that, but also because fat loss isn't as challenging for everyone in the same way. For some people, it's relatively smooth. Other people are somewhere in between. And then for other people still, it's definitely harder. And if you are a smaller person, you might experience that fat loss is quite the hardship for you compared to many other people. Now, it doesn't mean you're broken. It doesn't mean that energy balance doesn't apply to you. The concept of calories in versus calories out applies to absolutely everyone. But it does mean that you need to be more patient than other people. You need to make more compromises. And you may even need a little bit more of accountability and support, which is why coaching could be a great choice for you. Shameless plug, everyone. Now, moving on, here are 3 reasons why being a smaller person makes fat loss harder and what you can do about each reason. Reason number 1 is that the absolute weight that you can lose per unit of time as a smaller person is also smaller. Let's clarify what I mean by absolute weight as opposed to relative weight. Absolute weight refers to any amount of weight irrespective of other factors. For example, 2 pounds. On the other hand, relative weight takes into account at least one other factor, and in the context of fat loss, relative weight is a percentage of your body weight. For example, 1%. Now, somebody who is bigger and weighs more than you is going to be able to lose more weight within the same unit of time. For example, if you have a friend who's around 200 pounds and they're trying to lose 1% of their body weight per week, they can expect to drop around 2 pounds because 2 pounds is 1% of 200. But if you weigh 100 pounds and you also want to lose 1% of your body weight per week, this is going to be only 1 pound for you. It's going to be half of the amount that your bigger friend can lose. In addition to that, if you're on the smaller side and you want to lose body fat when you don't have a lot of excess body fat to lose, you're not overweight, you don't have obesity, and yet you still want to lose body fat for other reasons, and let us assume, for the sake of this example, that it is appropriate for you to go through a fat loss phase, you also need to appreciate that you probably can't target the same weekly rate of fat loss as a bigger person. If you've listened to my initial episodes 1 to 4, these were the episodes that make up my course about retraining your mindset for fat loss success. This is the No Quit Kit course that you can sign up for via the link in the description of every single episode. The point is that One of those episodes, episode number 3, if I'm correct off the top of my head, is about how to set realistic targets for fat loss. And in that episode, I mentioned the percentage range that I typically recommend people aim for when they're going through a fat loss phase in terms of the amount of body fat that they're targeting on average per week. And this percentage range to shoot for is between 0.5% of your original body weight and 1.5%, with, in some cases, 2% as the upper end that you would target. I say some cases, and I am very conscious about, I'm very careful in making this statement because 2% is only really realistic when you have obesity and you do have a lot of extra body fat that you can lose. The closer to a healthy body weight for your size you are, the slower you want to lose body fat. If you are already within the range of healthy body fat for your size right now, and you still want to lose more body fat, again, for other reasons, then even more so, you will need to be closer to the lower end of this range. So closer to 0.5%, if not right on 0.5% of body weight lost per week during a fat loss phase. This is all to say that if you are smaller and or already on the leaner side, you need to accept that you're not going to see the same scale drops that your bigger friends, whether they're taller and or carry more body fat than you. You're not going to see the same scale drops that they're going to be able to see within the same unit of time, be it a week, 2 weeks, or a month, for example. Now, what's the solution to this? Practically, absolutely nothing. Unless you can make yourself bigger, you can't change the amount of weight that you're able to lose or the speed at which you're able to lose it on average per unit of time. However, what you can absolutely change is your mindset. Remember that there is no fastest dieter award. So what if it takes you a little bit longer to get to your goal? If you have found the right approach to fat loss for you, then sure, fat loss will be more challenging than being at maintenance or in a surplus. But it shouldn't be so challenging that you're hating every minute of it and you are so resentful about your size because you just would like to stop this diet yesterday. Because if that's how you feel, then I would argue that you haven't found the right approach for you. Moreover, look on the bright side. It may take you longer to lose the same absolute amount of weight, but you also have less weight to lose in absolute terms if you are smaller. So, in some ways, things even themselves out, don't they? Last but not least, you can't control your size. You can only control your behaviors. And stressing over factors that you do not have under your control doesn't accomplish anything and makes you feel powerless. What empowers you is stressing over what you can control because you can actually change it. And that's your behaviors. How you're eating, how consistent you are with training, how you manage your stress, whether you hit your daily steps and or cardio, depending on the targets you have, and all the other actions that contribute to your fitness goals that I talk about all the time. So focus on being consistent with these behaviors. Focus on creating a long-term fitness lifestyle, because enacting these behaviors, hitting these goals on a daily basis is going to make you feel empowered. And the sense of empowerment is going to fuel your motivation, which is then going to propel you forward for years, not just the months that you'll be spending in a fat loss phase. Ideally, it will propel you forward for the rest of your life. So that's how you overcome the fact that you may need to diet for longer. You create this resilient mindset, this empowered mindset. Reason number 2 is that smaller people may not be able to target the same rate of loss as larger people if they want to keep their diet realistic to adhere to. This is because smaller bodies require fewer calories than larger ones. This is pretty self-explanatory. If the size of the machinery is larger, the engine needs to be larger as well. So while a 200-pound person may maintain their weight on around 3,000 calories, so they get to diet on 2,500 to create a 500 calorie deficit, a 100-pound person who may instead maintain on around 1,800 calories would have to diet on 1,300 to create the same 500 calorie deficit. The smaller your daily calorie budget is, the stricter and more disciplined you need to be with your food selection, your portion sizes, and the number of social events that you attend and eat food at. And the degree to which you can be this disciplined varies from person to person. And for some people, it simply isn't sustainable to have a very small calorie budget for a prolonged period of time. It may be too much relative to how much hunger they can cope with, or it may be too much relative to the lifestyle that they want to live, in that the lifestyle that they would need to live to stick with a smaller calorie budget isn't one that they're happy with. Furthermore, and this is last but not least, when you have fewer calories available per day, it's also more difficult to make room for enough protein, vitamins, minerals, and all the other nutrients that you need in order to thrive, which also means that the spare calories you have left for less nutritious food that you enjoy, like chocolate or cookies, diminishes quite a lot. And that's another reason why, for some people, this may be a lifestyle that they simply don't enjoy. Fortunately, I've got a number of solutions to this problem for you. Solution number one is that you simply create a smaller deficit. Instead of aiming for 500 calories as a deficit, you aim for 300 calories. This way, you can diet on higher calories overall. So instead of going for 1,300 calories, if your maintenance is 1,800, you go for 1,500 calories. Now, a smaller deficit results in a slower weight loss rate, but this is going to make the diet more sustainable. It's going to help you adopt a lifestyle that you're happier with for the duration of the fat loss phase. In some cases, it may even be the only way to ensure that you adhere to your diet, and it's also going to help you achieve an adequate nutrient intake. Solution number two is that you may find that you can personally stick to a larger deficit. You can go down to 1,300 calories, but not for a few months, only for maybe a few weeks at a time. If that's the case, you can still aim for this deficit, provided that your rate of fat loss is still within the range that I've indicated earlier and you're not going too fast relative to the amount of body fat that you already carry. But you may need to increase your calories after a few weeks to avoid burnout. Maybe you increase them to create a smaller deficit, but still be in a deficit. Or you might decide to take diet breaks at maintenance calories more often. Whichever option helps you be more adherent and complete this fat loss phase successfully. This way, you kind of kill two birds with one stone, in that when you can adhere to a lower calorie target, you're losing fat a little bit faster. And then when you increase your calories, you're going to lose fat more slowly, but now you can have more food, so you can have more nutrients in a day, so you reduce the risk for any deficiencies, and you may have a larger budget, more spare calories for chocolate, cookies, and other highly palatable food choices that I've already alluded to. Solution number three, which is my personal favorite, is that you create a smaller deficit through food, But then you increase the size of that deficit by doing more physical activity. So you burn more calories via physical activity. For example, you might diet on 1500 calories. Your maintenance is 1800, so you're on a 300 calorie deficit from food. And then you burn 200 extra calories per day via exercise, whether that's steps, cardio, or a combination of both, so that the daily deficit is 500, as it would be if you were to drop your calories from your food intake down to 1300 calories instead of 1500. Now, why is this my favorite? Because it's going to encourage you to be more active. Because physical activity has a lot more benefits than just fat loss. Most people don't meet the guidelines for physical activity, at least in America and in the UK, which is where the majority of my clients are based. And if you want to look up the activity guidelines wherever you're based in the world, just Google them. They're easily available to the public. So by including extra activity, you are going to get closer to said recommendations or be right on them, which is going to benefit your mental and physical health, not only fat loss. Finally, the last reason why it's harder for you to lose fat if you're a smaller person is that dieting on lower calories is often both a mental and a practical challenge, because portion sizes have been increasing over time, especially at restaurants. In most restaurants that I'm aware of, meals contain anywhere from 800 to 1500 calories, if not even more. And if you're dieting on 13 to 1500 calories as a smaller person, that's going to be half or more of your entire daily intake. That does not make fat loss easy, especially if you want to have some social events thrown in there every now and again. There are no two ways about it. I am not going to sweeten the pill because there's no way to sweeten it. In addition to this practical challenge, you may come across hundreds of success stories about people losing dozens of pounds over a short period of time, talking about how they could still fit alcohol and social events and pizza and many other foods and drinks into their diets. And that might make you get disheartened with your own rate of progress because you're not having the alcohol, you're not having the pizza, you're putting in all this effort, just as much effort as these other people that you see, and yet you're not losing as much as they are losing. But trust me, you're not failing. I know it's freaking frustrating, but you're not a failure, you're not broken, and you're doing literally everything that you can. However, losing fat for you, just like it is for me, being 5 foot tall, is going to be a slow process. So I know it's freaking discouraging, but hang in there. There's nothing wrong with you. You simply need more time than other less vertically challenged people. So, as a recap, there are three main reasons why you're going to find that fat loss is a little bit more difficult if you're smaller. Number one, the absolute weight you can use per unit of time is also going to be smaller. Number two, smaller people may not be able to target the same rate of fat loss as larger people if they want to keep their diet realistic to adhere to, which is the only way you're going to succeed with fat loss, so you definitely want to keep it realistic to adhere to. Reason number three, dieting on lower calories is a practical challenge, especially if you want to include social events within your fat loss phase. Hopefully, I've also covered some helpful suggestions on how to get around these disadvantages of being on the smaller side. And with that, that's a wrap on today's episode. Thank you very much for listening. As always, if you're thinking, man, this guy's good, how do I work with him? You can definitely sign up for online coaching. The link to my application form is in the description. Or you can connect with me via Instagram or my email address or my website, which are all, again, in the description, as well as the link to my free newsletter so that you can get free articles on training and nutrition sent to you exclusively once a week by me. With that said, I'm out of here, and until next time. Lastly, if you want to support the podcast and help me reach more people, please leave a 5-star rating or review on any podcast platform that you're using. Thank you very much for listening, and I'll speak to you soon.